all of a sudden, everything that I thought was secure was gone. All of a sudden, everything that I was prepared for, it just slipped right through my fingers. All of a sudden, everything that I wanted to be, do, and have, it was a memory as I stood betrayed in what felt like complete failure. My last job was at an accounting firm that focused on helping people start businesses and get the best tax benefits. You see, I would do workshops and seminars all throughout Los Angeles, and I focused on what it meant to help people get the understanding in their business. And so what happened was I focused in on that, and my boss, what he did was he actually got this opportunity. And when he got this opportunity, he got this opportunity, and he was going to be the CFO on a project that was going to raise money through an initial public offering. And when he got that opportunity, it was amazing. It was a great thing. But then what happened was, I didn't realize it then, but that was the beginning of what was going to be a downhill tumble in my career. I didn't realize it, but you know what? He stopped coming into the office. He stopped showing up to do the work. He stopped coming in at all, and I was staying later and later. And then I remember one night I was sitting at my desk, and I was eating it was a half-eaten takeout dinner from the restaurant on the first floor. The phones were ringing off the hook. It was investors and clients. And I was assessing the room. I was looking at this staff, and I was wondering, who is going to stay with me late tonight? And as I was looking around and trying to figure out who I was going to ask to stay with me, I realized at that moment that I did as much as I could do without him. I had realized that, you know what, I was sitting at this desk all alone, and I was caring about the business more than he was. I was sitting at that desk by myself, and I realized that I cared more about the clients than he did, and caring so much was no longer to my benefit. Who does that? I went 3 cycles without pay, all because I wanted to make sure everyone else was taken care of. I was in complete overcare. And so in this overcare, I just felt completely insane because I was hanging on to this opportunity, this job, because I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss out on any opportunity. I wanted to be there for all the opportunities that were available, and I didn't want to miss out on any of it. But then what happened? What happened was I realized at that moment that I was hanging on to a string of broken promises. What I thought was opportunity was actually broken. And I was driving home one day, and I was going home to me and my husband's first apartment. And I was completely devastated. I was going home, and I realized, you know what? I was trying to figure out, how was I going to tell my husband that I didn't get a check again? How was I going to tell him that here I went another Friday without bringing any pay home? And when I first didn't get a check, I first realized that I was like, okay, you know what? Understandably, shame on them. Second time without a check, okay, I should have seen the signs, cut the cords. That was shame on me. But the third time without a check, it was absolutely shameful. And that's what it was. I felt shame as I was going up to the apartment door. I put the key into the lock, and I began to turn it. You see, that final check, it was supposed to be my security. It was supposed to be my hope. I was overwhelmed with this idea, how I was so heartbroken because I was going to have to tell my husband that here I wasn't able to contribute to the house, and here we were going to have to move because we were on the verge of eviction. I was embarrassed. Here I was, a go-getter, a fighter, a college graduate, a beater of odds. I was all these things, but here I was standing there in complete what felt like failure. Here I was, and I was looking at him, and I was thinking, how were we going to make it? What were we going to do? So overwhelmed by this situation and overwhelmed with what to do, I knew that I was going to have to take this to the labor board, and that's what I did. I went to the labor board, and I made sure, I said, you know what? I'm going to take this to the labor board, and I'm going to make sure that we are going to win. Because I wanted justice. I wanted a reward. I wanted a recompense. I wanted to know that I was going to be able to get back what I was so deserving. So after winning the labor board, after winning the case, I knew that I was going to take this judgment in hand. I got this piece of paper that showed that I was owed. It proved that we were wrong. And then I was going to find an attorney. And so when I found an attorney that specialized in collections because I wanted to make sure that I was going to get all the money that was mine. So found an attorney. He shows up and he says, okay, you know what? I want to encourage you. This is going to be favorable. I just need you to be patient. And I said, okay, that's fine. So day 1, day 2. And then I thought, doesn't this attorney realize that my livelihood is on the line? So here we go, day 3. And then finally I get a call. And the attorney calls and he says, I am so sorry, Mrs. Cade, but I'm not able to collect on your judgment. What? How come you're not able to collect on the judgment? I have information on everybody that you'll need to be able to collect on this case. And the attorney says, well, you know, because of how the business was set up, we're not able to collect because there's no money and there's no assets, and so there's nothing for us to collect on. So everything was set up in a particular way. And so I said to the attorney, I set it up. And he said, you did a great job because I'm not able to get any of the money from your boss, from your old boss. At that moment, a light bulb went off. Everything that I had been through, everything that I experienced, it all culminated to this moment. And what I realized in that moment, in the first lesson of losing it all, that first lesson taught me that experience means everything. Experience means everything. You see, it all culminated to this place, and it's something about a light bulb moment that illuminates things that you've never seen before. And so when you go back in time, if we go back a few years, when I was a senior in college at UCLA, I was a counselor at a company called the Academic Supports Program. And so in this particular space, I was the assistant director, and I supervised a group of peer counselors. Well, my counseling style actually came from this idea of how we were doing holistic counseling so that I could consult clients in the future. After I left there, I worked for a collection agency where I supervised a team of skip tracers and collection agents, where I learned about asset protection, liability separation. I began to understand and dig into what it meant to pierce the corporate veil and what it meant to protect it. You see, everything culminated to by the time I got to the accountancy, I had all this experience that was so beneficial to the client. I had all this experience of what mattered most to the client. You see, the next lesson that I learned was that feedback is evidence. And that's the thing, is that I began to get feedback from people out in the world. They started to look for me. When those firms' doors were closed, when everything was shut down, people started to look for me. They started to call me. They started to call colleagues looking for where I was because they understood the value of what I was giving them. They wanted me to continue to service them. You see, the thing is that what I realized at that point was that I was feeling like I was in failure. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but people were giving me feedback that I had value in the marketplace, and the how was showing up. The how was presenting itself. And so in that how, I realized that I was doing document preparation, I was giving insight, I was doing consulting, I was doing all of this work, and it was rich and amazing, and that feedback is what I needed for it. But the thing is that if we go full circle, and I look at those 3 years that I was at the accountancy firm, I also was in the middle of a major medical malpractice suit. And what happened was I was at a time in my life at the beginning when I first started to work there, I was in a case where it was a malpractice suit for the loss of our daughter. You see, I was pregnant at the time, and me and my husband, we were at the beginning of our lives. We were at the beginning of our family. We were excited about our growing life together. And I was going through prenatal care, and I encountered a test where I was misdiagnosed. And when I was misdiagnosed with this test, what happened was the next indicator was to do a procedure that was invasive. And you see, we trusted the medical professionals who told us that we were going to get preferential treatment. We trusted them that they said that we were going to be taken care of and that we would be noted as being high risk. And so we continued on in that situation, and a few weeks into it, all of a sudden I was in this massive pain, and I didn't know what it was. I never had contractions before. I didn't know how it felt. So we rushed to the hospital, and when we get there, the hospital basically, they basically say to us, oh, you're fine, you're going to be okay, you should go home. After the doctor, he saw us, but he didn't even do an in-depth exam to check anything out. I felt unheard. I felt betrayed. I was turned away. And in that afternoon, later that day, when we got home, I went into preterm labor and gave birth on the floor. We called the ambulance. The ambulance came. They came and got me. They put me in one ambulance. They put our daughter in another. And when they put her in the ambulance, there she was fighting for her life, all to be received at a hospital that didn't even have a NICU that could take care of a micro-preemie. So by the time I got to the hospital, she had already passed away. It was devastating. Here we were in this situation. I was feeling powerless. I was feeling hopeless. You see, that same level of betrayal, I trusted somebody and I was betrayed. That betrayal, it swept over my entire body. Because the thing is that when I was at that job at the accountancy firm, it was paying for the experts. It was paying for the specialists. It was paying for the attorney fees. It was paying for what we needed. And we were close to the end of our arbitration when we should be focused on getting this justice for our little girl. No, we were focused on packing boxes because I was betrayed again. So here we were, and we were just a few months out from the settlement. And so 6 months after we left that apartment, we were able to receive a settlement, and that settlement was the seed of what started our business 19 years ago. You see, the experience, you see, the feedback, it all led to the intuition that I was going to need to lean on the things that I didn't see or I didn't understand or that I didn't know, because all of it was going to reveal itself. Because what happened was I was able to stand in a space where now we were able to lead other people in businesses. We were able to do the work. We were able to empower others. We were able to give other people the option, the opportunity, the business, the risk. For what? For their causes, for their purpose, so that people can make a difference in the world. Because of that seed, we were able to impact thousands of people for years to come. The thing is that experience means everything when realized that you can use it. You can use that information from that experience. You can use it today. Feedback is evidence that you can lean on when you see it in your life today. And that intuition that I leaned on, trust the intuition that echoes the enoughness for today. You see, one of the things that I learned is that when you get to that place when doors are closed, the door was closed, things were happening. I didn't know what was going on in the business. I felt betrayed, I felt hurt, but it all led to a place where I was able to now stand on my platform, stand on my business, stand on my success, stand on my contribution, stand on my legacy. You see, the past is what it is. The future is yet to come. But I know that I have today.